Well, SK comes up with a win, thankfully, brings us to a third game. I'm very excited that this is how we get to start off our European endeavors. So let's head right into game 3. Picks and bans on the way. This time, Obey will opt for the first selection.
And smart choice, I think, because Obey, they saw that they ended up losing that game. They gave the first pick option to SK.
Whoa.
I shouldn't say surprised, but I'm happy to see that they actually chose to ban away the Nox. I was for sure that they were going to go for the Baron first and foremost, simply because of that sustain, but it does seem as though that silence seemed to be what they struggle with most.
Yeah, that big trouble puddle is gigantic, and mid-team fight can certainly put a stop to whatever you're planning on. The Athena ban, no real surprise there. Option back over to SK after they take out the control mage. Baron, Ja will be the ban here. So Obey Alliance now have the ball in their court for the first pick. Freya is on the table, and with that in mind, they're going to select her.
I would have been way more surprised had they not chosen to take Freya there, because all things considered, I think she's probably one of the best options open right now, at least for starting off a draft, because now Obey can go in whichever direction they please, whether they want to double down on some more damage or maybe just bring in a little bit of that front line early on. That way they can solidify their engagement without necessarily having to worry too much about the disengage, because then they'll get a chance to see the rest of what SK is going for.
I like what SK is going for right now. The Sobek and the Ratatoskr, tons of control to deal with the Valkyrie. She can have a lot of problems with those knockups because she's not able to really get her sort of bearings to find the basics and find the long-range damage. So Sobek and Rat can certainly throw a wrench in her systems. Terra and Chernobog, though, on the other side of Obey, certainly bring a lot of power to the table. Chernobog really nasty, but why don't you break down Terra a little bit and how she fits into our modern meta?
I like Terra here simply because you have the Earth and Fury, and it's just more damage. That's all you're trying to introduce, is letting your carries really be the stars of your composition. And as a Terra, you also have a strong capability of rooting, which is going to be super important here, I think, for trying to deal with the Sobek. Whenever the Sobek is going to try and disorient or harass the backline, I think the Terra is going to be excellent at putting a stop to that. Occasionally, if you're quick with it, Monolith can also, those Terra walls and everything can block the Plucks from actually pulling one of your teammates out of position. So even if you're a little bit late to body block it, you still have that second life opportunity.
Certainly true, and iRaffer no slouch himself, so certainly an option. I like the choice of Thoth here for SK. Lawbster was the hard carry in game number 2. While Thoth has a little bit less control than the Agni might offer, if guys got hot hands, give him the ball. And Thoth absolutely can dunk on the opposition. So I do like this job to empower Emil and see what he can do here. Obey gonna stick to their Hell ban. There's something in that SK world where they've been playing Hell behind the scenes. Can't wait to see what happens when they get the opportunity to bring her out on the big stage. But alongside, no Arlong Shen and no Odin. CaptainTwig, despite the loss in game number 2, he was really ready to go.
I do not want to imagine what SK would have to try and deal with as an Odin. No, we're brushing over that entirely.
Okay.
We can't.
Okay.
Not this time.
Okay.
Next time.
Okay. Batz, the choice for CaptainTwig, fantastic choice, along with Nike, actually. I'm personally very happy to see Nike. Batz, a little bit in history books, CaptainTwig loves this character. He looks very good on the character. Fear No Evil does very well, just in general. And then Nike, I mean, a god that I think is undervalued, underselected. I'm looking at you because they just locked in Izanami, and I don't know how to feel about it, Taco.
Izanami is a god that's in a very fickle state right now.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Izanami is a god.
She's a god. Yeah, no, that's not where the analysis stops here. I think the primary reason why Funballer is choosing to go for Izanami is because he's concerned about the lane pressure just being too dominant towards the Chernobog. Having the ability for your auto attacks to go straight through the wave and get some of that poke potential onto the Chernobog Terra is going to be really important here, simply because levels 1 through 3, I would argue, even after Terra hits level 3, she can safely clear just about any wave and be fine, especially alongside that of a Chernobog. But SK are going to need some heavy pressure over in duo. Izanami can bring that. Her problem is that her escape is a little bit predictable. That's why we tend to not really see too much of her at a competitive level, because pros just know how to really isolate her and then look to punish a composition, because you're stuck with the 4v5 most of the time, and not having that objective push or even just, you know, team fight shred can really hurt. I am curious to see how this plays out for SK. I think it might be a little bit too ambitious right now, but I am not directly opposed to it simply because it is into the Chernobog and it makes sense.
Well, the Izanami is certainly flavorful. Will it be able to win the game? Can SK take their first match of the split? That's the question we're going to ask you guys out there at Twitch.tv land or Mixer, wherever else you are. Izanami, though, what a spicy pick, man. I want to see it happen. But Nike, I kind of also want to see it happen. Coin flip for us. It's all about Graham. It's all about Ryan and Obey versus SK.
Thank you so much, Tom and Taco on the desk there. Into game 3 we go. Aggro joining me, and Taco was talking to the desk, Aggro, about the Izanami pick of, you know, lane pressure, and I can see that. I like the idea of the silence as well, though, to deal with Freya a little bit, for a little bit of, you know, force those beads out from range.
Sure, but you could also just use Valkyrie's discretion as soon as you see Dark Portal opened up underneath you, and it won't hit you if you're fast enough, which we know Prime almost certainly will be. So
that's fair.
It feels a little odd to me. I'll be honest. I don't. It can be difficult to track her once she uses Fade Away.
This is why I like the start of the new season, when, you know, the new splits and things, when a lot of things change, because you're never 100% sure if it's going to work or not, because you've not seen it in a minute. Maybe the build, maybe something comes into play, or maybe it just gets dumpstered like you expect at the moment. Funballer under a lot of pressure in this duo lane. He took a lot more poke, and the shell was forced early on.
Lost
from SK.
And the beads. And the beads for Funballer.
Got lane pressure,
so. By how much? By 2 creeps, 3 creeps? Just the archers are still standing. And you're not going to go and invade their purple very easily at this point either. So I don't know. That's tough.
I mean, Faeles coming over to the left-hand side to pick up level 2. I think they were looking for a level 2 gank, is what they were actually after here, with Faeles making that big rotation. He is going to go for it. Ataraxia is forced to beads as well, and the shell in response. But all that work earlier on by Obey meant that SK couldn't chase as hard as they would like to there.
That's true. So it ends up working out. Good enough for SK, I would say, but could have gotten a little bit more. Prime low-ish on mana, but look at that, just chunking up with each melee auto attack. That's what you have to really learn how to do with this new Freya, is how to manage your mana bar correctly between ranged and melee.
And with what you saw out of SK there, with Faeles going straight to the dual lane, it means that Obey exploited the right-hand side, stole away the blue buff from a Sobek, just putting him further behind in that lane earlier on against the Nike. No one's really going to die there, as we always say in the solo, but level differential will make an impact as the game continues when it comes to the team fights.
Oh, looks like a Guardian's Blessing for Xaliea here as well. So we talked about it in our earlier set, where Warrior's Blessing did receive a nerf, and a lot of solo laners aren't quite as keen on it, but that was with a lot of Guardians. It was, you know, Kuzenbo and Sobek and Cerberus and all that kind of stuff. Interesting to see it on the Nike, where I think maybe if you don't want to go for Warrior's Blessing, which I still think is good enough at times, maybe you could have gone for even a Mage's Blessing to up your damage coming out of your rend. It would have been a little odd, but we'll see. I just wonder, it's going to be a lot of just standing around and waiting for the minions to clear themselves so that you don't lose the gold to tower, but you're also getting Guardian's Blessings.
I don't think you don't intentionally try and lose the gold to the tower, I would say, in these situations, but it's a nice bonus to have that you will still get something out of not getting the full amount of gold by the tower hitting them. Remember the days when they didn't get any gold for hitting the tower?
Yeah, those were dark days for Guardian solo laners.
Yeah, good days.
I didn't mind that.
Root not going to connect from Rapper there. He was just a little bit too out of range for that dash to connect. I've done that a couple of times myself, so I know what that's like. Where you accidentally just dash and you're like, oh, I didn't hit the wall.
Just right your
nose. That was
like,
smarted.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you get like beads or something for it, you just feel so much better. You're outplayed again.
It's not often you get beads off a Root, I'll tell you how much, but you can dream.
I guess I'm just...
There we go.
No. He did it again.
Debates. Maybe he's canceled it halfway through the dash.
Maybe you think... do you think that he maybe just like switched to instant cast or something and doesn't have the targeter there for himself anymore?
I don't know. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, that's for sure. CaptainTwig, though, getting aggressive in the jungle once more. Gets the big harpy in that camp, which is the most important thing there, in all honesty. Rotations from both teams. I love the pressure Prime's got in mid to keep Lawbster way away from this fight. He's playing the Thoth this game and not the Agony, which is a big difference from game 1 to 2. Very similar, but different circles, or shapes, I should say, in terms of damage.
That's right. Instead of the big circles that Agni has, it's the long rectangle that Thoth will shoot out and then fire after you. But I think that I like the Agni pick a little bit better. Thoth, just, I've said it a lot. Thoth is obviously very highly prioritized, and for good reason. He can do things that no other mage can do from a long range. But he also just has games where he falls really, really flat. Look at that last game, for example. If that's a Thoth instead of an Agni, I don't think SK win that game because his damage from behind isn't as relevant as Agni's. His CC is far more unreliable. It's only single target at best. And you're not getting that big AoE damage quite as often. And from behind, he's just not doing as much. I think Thoth, I really only think that Zeros and Yaman are top tier Thoths right now. Even Prime, I think I'd rather let Prime have Thoth than Freya at this point.
Really?
Yeah. I've just seen too many games where Thoth does nothing to really be that scared of him. It's annoying. I understand. A lot of times I think players are just like, I don't feel like playing against this.
You don't really remember, that's the one thing about Smite in general in any competitive game, you don't really remember the wins as much of like the missed ultimates that didn't connect with you, then you do remember the ones that slayed you and made you look terrible, you know?
Sure.
Like, so you get bursted down, you're like, God, I hate Thoth. But then he's probably taking like 12 shots to get there.
Right. And the other big thing about Thoth is that he's so hard to siege against. So even when you do have him against the ropes, it clears the wave really well, he pokes you really well, he sieges well himself. And I think that's where oh man, we would have ended that game if Thoth wasn't there and wasn't poking us and clearing the wave simultaneously. And I think that's where a lot of his bans come from.
Well, for all the talk of SK's dual lane having this as an army, it's actually got a level lead at the moment with the pressure it's had in this lane. And good comfortability for SK as they're now looking to invade the purple buff too, with Faeles being on this side of the map.
Faeles will let that crystallized curses pop before he drops the buff himself, just to make sure. Twig blinks, but Sacred Monkey misses. He was really relying on that.
Well, you did get the beads you asked for earlier onto the root, but Funballer still gets hit by the walls, and in goes Twig. Looking for the Fear No Evil, but Funballer gets away. Into the sky goes Faeles, looking to dunk down, but who's going to be the target?
Should be iRaffer here. Just keep the CC chain going. Final judgment there, but Shell was solid. That ultimate did nothing from Lawbster.
But PrettyPriMe just arrives at the back line. The shell has been used and Faeles is one hit from death. As is Lawbster. Well, Lawbster's just going to dash away, but 2 kills for Prime on the late rotation. Can he make it 3?
Could potentially here. One shot will do it. Prime off to another great start on this Freya, man.
That reminded me of Worlds, that. Like, that was a throwback to the start of Worlds when Yamin rotated on Zeus to the dual
Zeus
lane.
Triple kill against C9.
It was very similar of like big engagement, lots of aggression from both teams, and then mid laner wanders up and then goes, "Hi guys,
oh,
how y'all doing?
Y'all mind if I just kill everyone
Got a
here?"
triple?
Yeah, that's on Freya, right? Like a god that is insane from ahead already, and I already have Book of Thoth done, whereas Lawbster isn't even finished with his yet. I mean, Prime is likely going to finish Boots before Lawbster gets to start stacking his Book of Thoth. This is not the start that SK was looking for.
Now, however, it's not put SK's dual lane too far behind because they're still in a dominant position there in terms of levels. Granted, it's definitely put Lawbster in a tricky predicament, being 2 levels down here now and eating that shot too. And can iRaffer find that route and the combo after it? Even more poke. That's going to force Lawbster back to base. More than likely, very soon after he just came back to lane. And I think that's where the pressure's going to be now, is what Prime can do with this. He's the one in control. It's good to see Obey playing through Prime a bit more.
Give him first pick Freya every game, dude. Every single game, especially if SK is going to not really respect its damage as much as they really have. I just feel like if Faeles is really worried about Prime's damage, wouldn't we see that early round shield start where you go for the Xaliea or the runic shield right after that? I think that's a really good start on Ratatoskr that lends itself to getting you at least some level of protection and extra kill potential onto Freya. I think that Xaliea is so good against Terra as well because it stops that dash in its tracks with the silence. I really think that SK could be using one of those right now from Faeles.
Could be a good call, but maybe we'll see that come out from Faeles as the game continues too. I do like the disarm with the Fafnir pickup here. Disarm is pretty damn useful against someone like Freya who wants to empower the basics technically, and you can shut those down quite considerably. Although Kumbakana, another potential opportunity, which is great at CCing a target and locking it out of a fight. And obviously, it's a little bit trickier to get in range sometimes to the likes of a Freya.
I think you like Kumbakana almost as much as I like Zeus.
No, not as much. Better. iRaffer jukes out the ultimate from Faeles, but still gets picked up by Lawbster. just overextended and out of position, in all honesty, but luckily Obey might be able to turn it around. It's a classic sort of Raffer bait there that ends up coming up trumps in terms of a 1-for-1 Hunter for support.
Certainly a win for Obey Alliance in that spot, especially with Funball losing the beads and his life. Twig has to use the blink and ult, but certainly all right with that as Prime almost kills him. Good body block there from Lawbster. Good. That's just instinct as a player. Lawbster, to my knowledge, has never played support competitively. It's not something that he's done before.
Listen,
he's taken enough cooldowns during his career to feel like a support.
Anything but competitive play in ranked, and when I say competitive play, I mean pro league play. He would have just let him die then.
Oh, 100%.
I'd be like, you idiot.
I'm potentially body blocking my support to make sure they die.
So you can blame them. Banish after Mark, which was looking at Faeles. And instead, a bit of poke bar damage back from Lawbster, who ate some of his own. It was all around the red buff area. But SK will secure their own red buff. And down about 2k gold at the moment here, as Obey stretch their lead a little bit more. So with a couple more kills, well, just the one more kill, I should say, in their coffers, going the way of CaptainTwig on that Hun Batz.
Twig has a slight lead, and he again has gone for the shifter shield early on. Seems like a lot of junglers are really liking this early these days.
And what's the reason for that? Is it because, you know, you get the power earlier on, protections when you're lower? It used to be. Is it because, like, itemization kind of changed again in the jungle?
Yeah, it did get a change. It just did a slightly decreased cost. Only 2,400 gold now. Only lost 100 gold, but how often do we see that, right? Where it's like 100 gold here and there, and players are like, oh, I'll try it out. I read it on patch notes.
And I almost feel the balance team do that sometimes, where they're like, hey, you know this item still exists and it's really good, right?
Yeah.
And you're not picking it? How about we just knock a couple of gold off it and you just remind you?
Yeah, hey, buy this. It's the buy this buff, I think, where it's very small, 100 gold, doesn't really matter so much, but certainly is seen already a huge uptick in how often it's bought.
And it's one of those things that is offensive and defensive, which is one thing that a jungle would love to choose at the same time to have both if he can. And that's why a lot of the items in the jungle end up getting prioritized that way. But just recently, before the summer patch, we saw a lot more penetration and power being focused on because defense wasn't as optional.
Well, that's the big thing here is that, yes, you get a ton of power from Shifter's Shield and buying it second, but you don't get any pen. So this makes you better at killing enemy mid laners, enemy hunters, squishies, exactly. But it makes you a little bit worse at killing the Guardians, even through the innate tankiness that Guardian's Blessing can give you.
And not just the Guardian's Blessing, but also because they're getting extra levels now thanks to the passive catch-up of the lowest member of the team. PrettyPriMe in mid lane went for a banish and ate more than he bargained for there. HalfDevil jumps into the fray for a moment. He'll be fine. As I'm just checking down the list of itemization, nothing really crazy outside of the Shifter Shield, which it's not crazy, it's just we're getting used to what's changed this split.
Second item, Talisman of Energy, is a little bit interesting, but Lobster's got to use the beads in mid. HalfDevil whooped and put down potentially. Yeah, he's going to die. Good final judgment from Lawbster, gets a little bit of poke damage off, and while that doesn't seem particularly impactful, if everyone's full health in that spot, could be a Gold Fury pull. It's just something to make you think twice about what you can do after the team fight.
And this is kind of showing up like what's going on with how this is looking. The dual lane of SK starting to slip a little bit further behind now. Ataraxia has caught up to Funballer, as Funballer took another tumble so far in this game. That's just allowed things to even up there. And obviously with HalfDevil just falling down there, it's allowing Raffer to catch up a little bit. Although Raffer is struggling a little bit in itemization here at the moment.
Going for that Gauntlet of Thieves, not the late Gauntlet of Thieves rush that Raffer did for a little bit during the summer-spring split.
Which I think was fine.
I think it was fine too. It seemed a little bit weird at first. I don't think I was in love with it at first, but the more I thought about it, I think the more I came around on it.
And I think that was the call of Sovereignty, the Amulet, and then maybe a Thebes, or even Sovereignty or Heart Ward, then the Thebes. But I think with the changes to Heart Ward and to Sovereignty in terms of, like, they're not as good as they once were. They've been nerfed again a little bit, that people are starting being drawn towards the Thebes once more.
I think so too. I think that going Gauntlet third right behind Sovereignty is what I preferred before.
Yeah.
During the summer split, it just gave you... You're just vulnerable at this stage if you're a Raffer because you really aren't very tanky at all. But with the changes, maybe it is worthwhile to just take the risk involved and go for that early Gauntlet of Thieves rush.
It depends on the rotations and how often you sit in lane, and especially in SPL, they're going to be rotating a lot more and involved in the fight, so you will have teammates with them, rather than just sitting in the dual lane all day and, you know, looking to box it out to the 15-minute mark before the first Gold Fury attempt. So We'll see how it works out. 14 stacks so far on that. Talking about stacks, it looks like the Book of Thoth has already been completed for PrettyPriMe, so that's a power spike there, isn't it?
And that's a huge power spike because not only, like I said, are you getting extra power per stack because you're getting mana and it converts a percentage of your mana to power, but then once you evolve it, you get an extra 2% conversion for all of your mana. So you have more stacks and your stacks are worth more at the end. So it's a huge disparity in power.
So much damage that Prime is pointing out. He one-shot the wave, he one-shot the red buff. And it's really showing what Freya can bring. And I think this will be the litmus test for the SPL overall, just to watch this set and go, okay, do we want to deal with Freya so far? Or is it going to be something that's going to be put on a shelf for a while by most teams?
I think Freya's had a much better showing today than Baron has.
That's
Baron
fair.
did win a game, so my prediction of 0% was incorrect.
I said 50%. I said 50-50 probably across the whole week.
He's
So
1 and 2 so far.
I'm at 33% then.
Or no, because he got picked in the mouse set as well, so he's 1 and 3, I think. I don't remember. Where am I? Who are you?
I don't know. Banish onto HalfDevil. There's the empowered shot just to do a bit of a damage check, and HalfDevil will leap away. Right, and Harpy's going to go the way of Obey there as Twig was in position earlier on. Level 14 now for PrettyPriMe. And that is such a monumental position to be in when you look at the fact that the jungler and mid laner on the enemy team do not even have their second relic available.
A huge lead right now for Prime. Now, it didn't end up saving them in the last game.
But how do they use this now? Because we keep talking about this level, but how do they utilize this Freya lead?
I think that you bring Xaliea over because he has a massive lead as well. I think you call Xaliea over. He just got Mystical Mail, so he was willing to spend a little bit of extra gold to get some bang for his buck. Now he is awfully tanky, does good damage at this point because Nike damage is still very relevant at this point in the game.
Please.
Head on over to Gold Fury, man, because or Siege a Tower with this Talisman of Energy giving you extra movement speed and attack speed. I think that'd be a good way to do it as well. But Xaliea and Prime together are how you're going to really blow this game open.
Is Mystical Mail really back? Please tell me no.
Probably not. Maybe.
I hope not.
Crowd control reduction on it is pretty good.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But Raph is on his own duty, trying to keep HalfDevil away, and those body blocks are pretty damn good to slow him down. Godfury's getting really low. Obey gets it into the sky. Faeles was there early, but he didn't go in. It's Lawbster being focused, and no one's helping Lawbster.
Lawbster should be dead to rights. Aegis saved him for a second. Good
Oh,
turnaround final judgment. Still not going to be enough, though. Twig's able to skirt out of there. Both Lawbster and HalfDevil are dead.
Well, you called it. You wanted to see Xaliea rotate over, and they force a Gold Fury. Obey, take the Gold Fury, take 2 lives, steal away the red buff, and now, well, it looks like the tier 1 tower mid might be exposed too.
I got your scripts. I don't know. I saw it laying in the green room over there, and I know that you've been writing scripts for individual games now, which is really interesting that you're doing that, not just the overall split. Well, I figured I would because I didn't want anyone thinking that I knew what I was doing.
I mean, I did write the script for set 1.
Yes.
For the only reason is, like, if we let Energy win the starting split, everyone's going to be like, oh god, Energy's going to win Worlds, it's so boring. So I want him to lose to Rival at the start of the split, so Rival get a bit of confidence again after their knocks, and the rest of the world can go, well, specifically NA can go, yay, we've got hope. But it's not true. NA don't have any hope anymore. It's all Europe all day, every day.
Europe's winning Worlds is here?
They'll be the top 2 in the finals.
Wow. No NA in the finals?
I predict that's where I'm at right now.
What Friday is the big reveal, right?
Friday will be the reveal. I'll reveal the top 4, I think. I might even do the whole Worlds bracket of like who I think will make Worlds and what the games will be. If I pull that off, if I complete it and run that is, I think I have to retire at that point because there's just nothing else I can do. And people will really believe I write the script then.
You might be right. If you are able the first week of Fall Split to predict the entire Worlds bracket, then Georgia might turn around its gambling loss.
I'm not talking about the week at the studio. I'm talking about the actual DreamHack top, yes. I believe, the quarterfinals through to the finals. I'm going to predict the teams that are going to be in there, the teams that are going to play against each other, and who's going to win them. I won't predict the game result because that's just crazy. You can't expect to do that, can you?
No, that would be ridiculous. No one would expect that.
Well, this game so far, I mean, game 1, handily Obey, and it's looking a lot like game 1 over again. Don't count out SK Gaming. They won game 2, even though they were at a deficit in kills because their team fights were so strong. But the compensations have definitely changed since then, and I'm pretty confident in Obey with how this is looking.
It's just such a lead now. I mean, look, Obey had a very similar lead in the last game. I think they were up 6 or 7K right before the beginning of the end. This time, though, 8,000, it's 11,000 experience. And it's spread out across multiple lanes. It's in solo and in mid. Dual lane is basically even, though Raffer's got a pretty substantial lead. Twig has a pretty substantial lead. If I'm Obey now, it is death ball time. I'm grouping up and I'm running at SK.
Especially with a Nike.
Truly, and I mean this without irony, run it down mid. Just group up and run it down mid.
Last time we saw pro players do that, though, was the United Invitational. We all know how that worked out for him.
Oh man, that was an easy win. What can I say? It was
freest day of my life.
I'll say.
That's for sure. 7-1 then, but there's no running down mid so far from Obey. Instead, it's looking to try and pick people off around the camps in the jungle. It seems they're not trying to snowball this out of control, but to be fair, there's not much they can really do. They've got the tier 1 in mid, Gold Fury's down, Pyromancer's down, Fire Giant available, but maybe a little bit too early to do Fire.
Yeah,
maybe.
But not too early for a tier 2. I think you could group up in one of these side lanes or in the mid lane and just run it down and get these towers. I think Obey let off the gas for a little bit there because they were very close to completing some very important items. You have Spear of Desolation now for PrettyPriMe, Void Shield for Xaliea, Magi's Cloak for CaptainTwig. Now that you have all of those items, it feels like this is the right time to fight.
Well, tier 1 on the right does fall to Obey again. Just a little bit more gold in the coffers for them. No extra pressure onto the tier 2 for the time being. Ataraxia is playing the Chernobog, which I like to always reference just because of that rotation that's going to be available. I expect to see more Apollo this year as well as the year continues, especially with the recent buffs that will be in the next patch too, coming into Freya, and that could actually match some of Chernobog. But HalfDevil and Lawbster are the ones under pressure right now. Lawbster going to jump away, but the monkey followed him, and the monkey see, monkey do, monkey overhand smash, monkey out, but straight in towards Faeles, who's going to get away.
Just couldn't get that auto attack in there. HalfDevil able to escape by the skin of his teeth as well. Twig wishing he would have bought a crusher at that point, and some extra attack speed would have gotten that last hit in onto Faeles, but a great team fight from Obey, and that's just running it down main when you've got a big lead, because you can do things like dive tier 2s at 20 minutes without a whole lot of
I know
threat.
you said you saw the script, but can you not read it out and premonice it just so the viewers at home don't know what's going on?
Yeah, that's on me. Sorry,
yeah,
dude.
just clip it up, you know?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know if they'll get fire here.
Maybe. Oh, you know what? If SK steal the Fire Giant now, lost it. Fails. Lobster's the only one with an ultimate really that can make an impact here, but the Fire Giant's taking a while. Ducky goes in. Can he steal it away? Ducky even there. SK Gaming get the Fire Giant, and aggro he's lost it. Ataraxia is one hit from death, but will get away from Ducky. No one else from SK's here. They're happy they have the Fire Giant.
No.
Shout outs to aggro. He's the man. Ducky will fall down eventually, but the damage has been done. And Obey are going to have to kind of hold for a moment or two now, knowing that 3 members still have that Fire Giant.
Hey everyone, it's me, the guy who definitely knows exactly what's going to happen every time. Did I do a good enough job of selling that one?
That was really bad, actually, to be fair. I said, don't do that, and then you did it anyway, you know?
I think Faeles, did he steal that with a blink auto attack?
I think that was
maybe a blink
dash.
Yeah, because it was quick. It definitely wasn't the 2.
Oh, Lobster got caught. Lazy back, lazy back, lazy back. No, he was shopping. Don't shop, Lobster, run. PrettyPriMe is flanking around the back, and Thoth is no world to hurt. He needs more than just a box to survive here right now. And he's not going to get the chance to. That is going to hurt a little bit more now, because that's 40 seconds. You did have to Fire Giant too. That this could actually be an advantage for Obey to, well, not run it down mid, but maybe run it down left.
Easily could. And look, 2 members with Fire Giant in the duo lane here for SK is irrelevant. The only way that Fire Giant on SK right now is important is that Obey Alliance doesn't have it.
And you showed it was scripted.
And I showed it was scripted.
Yeah.
That's also the
I was trying to do that at Worlds. That was the plan. It's like, by the end of Worlds, like, show the script was real for the whole year. Wait till Jerem back. That happened. Oof.
Don't put that evil on us, okay? Do not.
I actually think I'd be the most hated man in Smite if that actually did happen.
Oh, I know.
Can you imagine? You did this.
You were the one who broke them up. It was so weird.
Just say it.
Just by saying it's going to happen. Well, I mean, it will happen now.
Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Tier 2 tower under pressure from Obey and SK at the same time. We've got a bit of a base race going on. I tell you who's not going to win the race overall, how this is going, though. It's SK. Funny enough, Obey are now on the Phoenix. Everyone backing from SK to defend. All ultimates available, all relics available for either side. Over the shell of iRaffer. Fair no evil from Twig used early on. Ultimate out from Lawbster. Did hit onto Twig, but not enough to kill.
Good stun on a PrettyPriMe by HalfDevil. CaptainTwig in a rough spot, but fails. Hits air on the backside. No one home on that through the combo.
Xalia's shield. He's just like, hi, I popped my ultimate. I'm still tanking for half a year. As Twig jumps back in towards Lawbster, looking for the basics to bring him down. Can he get him in the fountain?
Yep.
And he will do so. Meanwhile, Faeles taking them on a merry goose chase, but not for any result other than a Phoenix. Could they end?
I think so. 23 minutes. I mean, there's only a tower on the right side standing. Obey really looked like they were going to 2-0 very cleanly. SK fought back very well in game 2, but they still clearly need. I don't know who's doing their picks and bans, but here's a tip. I think Freya is pretty good.
Yeah, they did struggle against that Freya quite a bit in that game. In all 3 games, to be fair, even in the second game, they did struggle at the start. So. A lot of talk about Freya. The result overall, though, a lot of fans coming into this expected Obey to find the victory. They did. Wasn't as clean as they would have liked. And SK, signs of life. We love saying that about SK, but it truly is signs of life.
Yeah, I think Lawbster and Funball have got to feel really good about how they played in game 2. HalfDevil as well should feel pretty good about how he played there, but we've got to see a little bit more from Faeles. Ducky was in that set, but we didn't really call his name very much. I think that we need to see a little bit more out of some of these members of SK, but you can still see that there is something there potentially for this squad.
So who do you think deserves the MVP for the final game? I want to give it Aggro for predicting exactly what would happen.
I mean, you're the one who wrote the script. I literally just read it.
Just don't look at it. That's all I ask for. You don't have to.
Do we throw next? Here, let me look at the script here. Yeah, I think we're supposed to throw next.
Well, let's find out if they're ready. Tom, tackle. Let's see if we can take it away.
I mean...
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, what's up?
He wrote the script.
Okay.
This is what comes next.
Hello and welcome back to the desk here. Tom Battinger joined here by the illustrious Taco. Fantastic matchup we just saw. SK Gaming, well, they stole the Fire Giant.
They did steal the Fire Giant, but they weren't able to steal away the set. Only game number 2 and the FG, which is still, I think, a pretty strong accomplishment considering where we left off with SK in that summer split. You know, they were winless throughout the duration of it. They were really struggling, and this time around, they managed to secure, and not just a game win, but I think that this should help a little bit with some of the player confidence. I don't think that any of them were really wavering, because it seems as though this team is really centralized around trying to stay together as a unit, which I definitely respect when any team is willing to try and just work through their problems to see if they can come up with a solution. I think that it has started to bud, but it is not fully flourished just yet.
Yeah, taking a page out of the old Blink-182 book, Stay Together for the Kids, SK Gaming trying to make it happen, but Obey Alliance bringing the presence, and PrettyPriMe, Santa Claus himself, the mid laner here. Freya just does this.
It came way too swiftly. I don't think that anybody from SK was prepared for this moment. In fact, I'm pretty sure Lawbster would have never expected the tower dive to occur. PrettyPriMe just barely managing to get up into that Valkyrie's form prior to the stun connecting. It was nasty the whole way through.
That triple kill in the beginning, it was funny. That was very early on, and I just looked at Taco and went, so should we get out there now? I mean, this one looks over. SK Gaming gave us a little bit of a game there as they did. They were able to steal the objective, but just not enough. Obey looked really powerful. Freya looked really powerful.
Any other god, I think. If any other god on Obey were to have gotten that triple kill instead, I think it still would have been very problematic for SK to try and handle, but nothing is worse than trying to get the reins back on a Freya that's starting to steamroll out of control. I think that's where the real issue arose, is that she just got to reach her maximum snowball potential off of that. She gets the first blood bounty, she gets 2 extra kills to boot, and it's just a catastrophe for SK from then on out.
Yeah, really kind of tough to keep the Valkyrie in a cage once she's able to do all that. So great work coming out from Obey to unleash PrettyPriMe in that middle lane and allow him to do basically whatever the hell he wanted. That's going to end Europe for us today. Let's take a snapshot of the scene and see where everybody lies. Up on top, well, it's tied up. Dig Rival and Obey Alliance winding up with 1 win, although Obey did have to deal with SK taking a game away. So Dig and Rival get a +2 for them as they came through with the 2-0. Obey wind up a little bit more, I don't want to say sloppy, but a little bit more, a bit of a speed bump with SK.
I think it's still been an incredibly fun and relatively interesting set start for the fall split, because we got a little bit of insight, I believe, as to what direction the meta is starting to shift towards.
Exactly. Europe is cut and dry for Tuesday. Tomorrow, we'll head over to North America. Well, we're going to stay in the same place, but we're going to travel to the games. United, the defending world champions, will take on fan favorite Space Station, Trifecta CLG, and then Splice and Luminosity. Thursday, we're back to EU, and then Friday, we're back to NA.
And I just realized I'm pretty sure every team outside of World Trifectas hasn't occurred yet, but all of NA is experiencing roster changes outside of Counterlogic Gaming.
Yeah, we've got a whole mess of players moving up, down, left, right, center. Certainly games you don't want to miss. But let's zoom out real quick and take a look at the broadcast schedule. So next week, no broadcast on Monday the 3rd. That's Labor Day. Go ahead, in North America, we're going to be barbecuing. Have a barbecue all across the world, because Tuesday, we're right back at it. We're going to bring Esports Weekly to you as we do every week. We got the SGS with Oceania, SPL, and then we're back to normal Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, finishing off with more SPL.
And can't never count out any of that SML action, whether it be Europe or North America. There's bound to be some pretty exciting plays taking place there as well.
Yeah, it's fun really watching all of the up-and-coming talent in the SML. They've got dreams of making it to the Pro League, and the pros have dreams to make it to hi-rez Expo. If you got the same dreams, it's a little bit of a simpler path for you guys. hi-rezexpo.com, put some money down and grab your tickets and join us in downtown Atlanta for DreamHack, where we get to see the biggest stage of Smite.
And whether you want to just come down and hang out with everybody to socialize a little bit, or just be here for the sake of enjoying the fun of the matches, the environment and the air, it's static. It's really such a fun vibe that happens during these events, and I would definitely recommend you guys don't miss out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big deal, is these events are what make Smite. These big time events where everybody can come through, see the competition, and take part in just the spectacle of it all is really exciting for me. So that's going to close the book on Europe for today. We have 3 more days of Smite Pro League action. You're not going to want to miss a beat. 1 p.m. every day for the Pro League. Myself, Tom Battinger, Taco to the left of me, everybody else on the broadcast, front and center. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow. Peace and much love to you.